So we're starting ordinary time, we're starting a new season, and with that new season we're going to be looking at the Gospel of Mark. We're going to be hearing nearly the majority of the Gospel of Mark over the next couple of months. And we're also starting the book of Hebrews and looking at that for the next 4 weeks, going through the whole of the book. And the book of Hebrews, just to give a little bit of background, they say it was written to, from what they've seen in the text, it was probably written to either Levitical priests who had converted to Christianity or to Jewish converts living in Italy. But these people were going through a difficult time. They were suffering persecution because of their conversion, and they were also having their own doubts, internal doubts. So there was this persecution from outside, doubts from inside. And in a sense, just looking at the way we're living now, if it wasn't for COVID and the results of the fight to overcome COVID, it might seem that we're going through a bit of a persecution just now. What would Satan love more than shutting our churches? And he has shut out, the churches have been shut. What would he love more than to prevent people from coming in and praying in a place like this? Well, he's succeeded in doing that. What would he love more than prevent people from coming and experiencing the Eucharist and eating the bread of life? What a victory has been won through that. And so our ability to live as church has, we in fact have, in a sense, been shackled. And this is as a result of the attempts to overcome this pandemic. So we too have that sense of being persecuted, and also I'm sure that for many people there are doubts in your hearts. Is with all this, can God still be with me? Through all the difficulties that we're going through, is this real? All sorts of, who knows? In your own hearts what you might be going through yourselves. And the book of Hebrews has been written to encourage those who are going through the persecution, encouraging those who have doubts. And it begins by laying the foundation about who is it that our faith is based on, who is at the heart of it. And so it speaks about how in various ways in the past, various times, God spoke through the prophets, but in our own time, the last times, in our own time, that's still today here, but especially back then, the last days, he has spoken through his Son. The Son he has appointed, and he goes on. And in the gospel, we hear Jesus coming out, and Jesus starts to reveal himself. Who is this Jesus? Who is this Jesus? And this is the question that Mark asks all the way through. It's the big question. Who is this? And we'll start to see that answered. The book of Hebrews begins immediately with the who is it. This is the one through whom everything was created. Nothing that exists is there except through him, the Son of God. And he is the one who will inherit everything that has been created. He is the firstborn who inherits everything. He is the one who holds, sustains the universe by his all-powerful command. He is the radiant light of God's glory, the perfect copy of his nature. And so as we look at the Son, we see the Father. And it's so in the Gospels. Jesus comes to reveal the Father. But still, in the gospel, in a sense, and still today, it says, Hebrews starts off, at various times in the past and in various ways, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets. Various times and in various ways. And I was just thinking that, when Jesus came and proclaim the gospel, repent. The kingdom of heaven of God is close at hand. Repent and begin to believe the good news. That call to conversion, that call to turn away from our own idols, whether that be ourselves, money, or whatever it might be, and to turn back to God. When he made that call and started to reveal himself, for some people, that revelation was in various different ways. They heard it in a fragmented and piecemeal way. The people at the time of Jesus, they did. Let me explain. And today, that continues. What do I mean by that? When Jesus appeared and started preaching, and we're going to hear about him preaching and calling, he went from place to place. And so some people in one town would hear him, and that would be it for a time or a long time. And then he'd go somewhere else, and another group would hear something of who he was. And in that sense, it's piecemeal. But Jesus didn't want his revelation to be piecemeal as in the past. He's come to give his full revelation. And so in order to do that, what does he do? He calls disciples. Come, follow me. Give up your daily work. Give up everything that is not me and follow me. Be my disciple. Walk with me. Listen to my teaching. Drink it in. Sit at my feet, as we hear Mary Magdalene doing. Sit at my feet and feed on the word I give day in and day out. Watch my actions which reveal and show forth the word I've already spoken, so that his revelation wouldn't be piecemeal and partial to these men, to these women, but they would drink in the fullness of what he had to give. And the Lord doesn't want us to know him in a piecemeal fashion. Today, the Lord does not want you to know him in a piecemeal fashion. He wants you to know the fullness of himself. He calls you to know him, to that fullness of himself. To leave the other stuff which is distraction, which isn't of primary importance, to sit at his feet, to be a disciple, to hear his word day in, day out, to imitate his actions day in and day out, to be transformed and then go out that others might know the fullness of the truth.